Welcome back. It is time for another Zoom meeting. So in this episode, in this Zoom meeting, I want to just highlight a few of the things we talked about. I introduced you to the perfect investment, so that's coming up, and we'll go over that a couple more times throughout the semester. I talked about what's coming in terms of insurance. We're going to do 2 weeks of insurance, investment, 2 weeks of investment, and then retirement accounts or types of accounts. So those are the 5 lessons that are coming up over the next 5 weeks. We're going to move fast. We're going to cover a lot of ground, and we're going to cover the 4 investment strategies that are designed to maximize returns and minimize risk. So talk about those a little bit in today's Zoom meeting. And I give you a little bit of insight into the assignment for bargaining and negotiating. So this week's lesson is bargaining and negotiating, and that's what's coming. So you will see your assignment posted. I'll post it both in your online portal and in Blackboard. Obviously, if you're a student at the University of Houston, you will complete that assignment in Blackboard. So hope you enjoy the Zoom meeting. If you weren't able to be with us in person, we missed you. And if you were, then great. You don't need to watch this again. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Oh, and the video's coming. Like the Zoom meeting is coming. So I'll see you later. I probably won't come back and say goodbye. I'll say goodbye now. So enjoy the Zoom meeting. See you next time. Okay. It is being recorded. Okay, great. Welcome, everyone. I think I've let everyone in who's in the waiting room. We have 35 folks here today. That's pretty good. And I am going to record this. I'm so sorry the last Zoom session we had did not get recorded. I told the story about Billy and his truck and his credit card, and I thought it came out pretty good. It's very weird. I don't know if you know this, but it's very weird telling stories to this little plastic thing right here. It's not exactly like when I get to have folks in front of me and tell stories. I like to tell stories. It's kind of fun, and especially when they're true stories and they make the point that I'm trying to make. And so the Billy story is one I'll have to retell, but it's so much more fun telling stories when at least you think someone's listening. I can see half of you are like watching Netflix right now. You're not really listening. Maybe. I don't know that, but I do know that's one of the risks that we take in these online courses. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that it's very different. So I'm having to do a lot of things differently this semester as well. And again, I want to say thank you for your grace and your patience and your cooperation as we create this course together. It's been a huge learning experience for me. It's been a lot of fun, challenging, but it's been a good growing thing. So I am going to take off my headset because I don't need my headset. Actually, I do need my headset. The reason I need my headset is because it's a noise canceling headset, and I'm in a beautiful office at the University of Houston Technology Bridge. That's where I office, and there are probably half a dozen folks in this shared space, and if I don't wear this, I'll be distracted. So today we're going to talk about budgeting and negotiating. Before I do that, I want to kind of highlight what we've done and where we're going, because from this lesson forward, we're going to go pretty fast. We're going to jump into insurance next week. We'll spend 2 sessions working on insurance. We'll start with property and casualty insurance. That's homeowners, auto insurance, personal liability, umbrella. And so I will cover those topics. My goal in insurance, and we'll do it for 2 weeks. The first week will be property and casualty, and then the second week will be life insurance and health insurance, which is typically a different category of insurance, life and health. So I'll cover those, and I'll be asking you to think of any questions you might have along the way. I can, if there's one thing I'm an expert in, it is in insurance. So I've got a lot of letters after my name, and that's, they're pretty much, many of them are related to insurance. I was a State Farm agent for many years. And so anyway, there's a lot to cover in insurance. This whole course, we could fill it up with insurance. In fact, I teach at Rice University. I teach a course in the CFP program for professionals who want to become certified financial planners. There's a whole section out of 7 sections to become a certified financial planner. One of those sections is insurance, and that's the one I teach. And it's like a mountain of minutia. There's so much information. And I'm not going to get to all that information when it comes to insurance. However, what I am going to do, and I think I'm pretty good at it because I've been doing it a while, because I was a State Farm agent for a long time, and now my goal is just to teach you how to maximize your insurance dollars. So I'm going to take the most common policies, and I'm going to dissect those policies and show you inside so that you understand the different coverages that are inside of each of your most common insurance products. These are the insurance products that you're going to buy over your lifetime. And in the context of personal finance and in the context of your financial plan, I think it's important to recognize that you're going to spend a lot of money over your lifetime on insurance. So my goal is to help you become the best consumer of insurance possible. So to do that, again, I'm going to focus on the most common policies that you will purchase, and I will unpack those policies, those coverages, and help you understand what's inside of them so that when you go and get a quote, you will know what you're getting the quote for. In fact, that will be one of your assignments, is to get a quote for your car insurance. So more to come, but that starts next week. We're going to do property and casualty, and then we're going to do life and health. And in both of those sections, both of those topics, I'm going to do my best to help you identify the most common policies that you will use and the coverages that are available inside those policies so that you can become a good consumer. After insurance, we're jumping into 2 weeks of investments. Investment has been the most popular topic in this course, hands down, far and away the most popular topic. So there's a lot to cover in investments, and I'm going to do my best to help equip you to become a do-it-yourself investor in pretty short order. And to do that, I'm going to teach you 4 investment strategies. And those strategies are specifically designed to help you maximize returns at the same time minimizing risk. So I'm just going to tell you what those 4 investment strategies are so that you can begin to think about them and just be aware of what the strategies are. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the thing called a reticular activator. It's a little thing in your brain, on your brainstem, I think. But what it does is, say, for example, you decide you're going to buy a recreational vehicle. Maybe it's a Winnebago, but you just decide that's the toy that you want to buy next in your life. Well, what happens is your reticular activator starts to notice everywhere you go, hey, there's another one. Hey, look, there's a Winnebago. So that's what happens with the reticular activator. So I'm trying to activate your reticular activator so that moving forward, you'll start to just be aware of these investment strategies. They're not secrets. They're very well known. They're very common. And I'm going to tell you what they are so that you can start to be aware of them. The first one you've heard of, I'm sure, is diversification. Diversification is very important to investment management, to managing risk and return. Diversification. I'm going to tell you some stories and help you really understand the importance of diversification. That's investment strategy number 1. Investment strategy number 2 is the most important determinant of your portfolio's returns, and that is asset allocation. So asset allocation is number 2, and it's the most important. It involves really the most technical information. So I'm going to have to teach you what an asset class is, and I'm going to then show you why it's important and how you will allocate your assets in such a way that you will use this investment strategy, asset allocation, to your advantage to maximize your returns and minimize risk. So there's going to be plenty of homework. Actually, the homework is not even homework. It's just resources for you to get to know as much as you want to know about asset allocation and the other investment strategies. So number 2, asset allocation. The most important determinant of your portfolio's returns is asset allocation. Number 3 is dollar cost averaging, and it is, in my opinion, the most powerful investment strategy for someone who's younger and going to be investing over a lifetime. In my opinion, it is hands down the most powerful strategy. So I'm going to tell you some stories. I'll tell you a story about Farmer Joe and how he bought cows. And if you've taken a look at Make Your Money Count, you see that story in there. But I hope you'll come back for investments. That will be so we're going to do investments for 2 different weeks. I'm not sure which week that story will be in, but Farmer Joe really helps you understand the investment strategy called dollar cost averaging. So I'm looking forward to telling you that story and showing you those pictures. I'm not very good at drawing cows, but I'll give it my best shot. So the 4th investment strategy that can help you maximize return and minimize risk is portfolio rebalancing. And portfolio rebalancing is very much like asset allocation, and I'll show you how that works. I did post a new video in our playlist. We have a playlist for investing, and we will have a whole section in your online training for investing. So if you want to move ahead, I'm going to be posting videos as we go moving forward. And there is a new video, a couple of videos actually, in the playlist. So that is investing. After we finish investing, we're going to spend 1 week on retirement accounts, types of accounts. And it's a very important lesson. I think when we get to that point, a lot of things will start to come together for you, and you'll begin to understand the real power of investing for your future and becoming someone who can manage your own investments. So I'm going to introduce you to the perfect investment. And then after I do that, we'll jump into bargaining and negotiating, which is today's topic. So I'm spending some time to kind of lay the foundation for what's coming. And like I said earlier, we're going to be moving very fast as we get through. We're right at the halfway part. Today is June 30th. We're right in the very middle of the year, but we're also right in the middle of our course. So you're going to see more assignments and more content, and we're going to move pretty quick. So by the way, before I tell you about the perfect investment, let me ask a question. How many of you would like to have additional extra credit assignments? Now, I know from looking in Blackboard where each of you are in terms of the points that you've so far accumulated. And I know that you have 200 points for class participation that you could ultimately earn, and 200 points for your Capstone Assignment, which most of you are doing very well getting to. But I'm just curious. Chat in if you would like to see extra credit assignments, and I will save this chat. And it looks like I see several of you saying yes, sure, why not. Now, by the way, extra credit doesn't mean you have to do it. The key number you're looking for is 950. If you keep in mind that if you're doing good, if you're keeping up with the assignments, you're going to have no trouble earning the 200 points for class participation and the 200 points for the capstone. Now, if you're struggling with those, then you might want to take advantage of the extra credit assignments, but you don't have to. So remember, one of the things I promise in this course is that when we get to the end of the semester, most of you are going to be ahead of the game. You're going to have more points than you need. That's my goal. That's my hope, that you have the opportunity to earn more points than you need. We don't really have a final exam. Instead, we have the capstone assignment, which you're doing along the way. The capstone assignment is kind of like the final exam, but it's really not a lot of work. If you do the assignments along the way, you're going to find that your capstone assignment really gets done for you. So pay attention to those assignments that are part of the capstone, because they will kind of have a multiplier effect. Nonetheless, I don't know if you can hear that background noise, but I can't hear it as well as you can. Sorry about that. But so back to the grading and the extra credit. I will post some extra credit assignments, and those will become available in the next week or so. Today, I will be posting the assignment for this Friday, which will be a really simple assignment about bargaining and negotiating. So, all right, good enough. Now I'm going to tell you about the perfect investment, and then I'm going to share my top 7 bargaining and negotiating tips, skills, techniques, tools, whatever you want to call them. I'm just going to go over some things that I think, I wish I knew about bargaining and negotiating. So that's the lesson we're going to get into. But I want to tell you about the perfect investment, because every semester, one of my goals is that every single student who goes through this course has absolute confidence that on day one, when you get that dream job, when you get the job that you're looking for and hoping for, that day one, you're going to be ready to make the decisions that you need to make to maximize your investment in the perfect investment. And I don't know if anybody knows what the perfect investment is, but if you do, it's worth 100 extra points. No, I'm just kidding. But it's not a secret. The perfect investment is an opportunity that you will have if you work for a large company, or really a lot of companies, even small and mid-sized companies have this opportunity. So I'm curious if anybody at this point knows what I'm about to talk about when I say the perfect investment. So chime in if you know. Haha, I see some people do know. How did you know that, Morgan? Because I said company. Yep, it's 401k because you have one. Awesome. So the perfect investment, I'm always surprised, not always, but quite regularly and consistently over the years. Even when I became a certified financial planner, I started working with people, and I was in, you guys all got it. It's a 401k. I guess you can see each other's comments though. So, you're not likely to get extra points now because the secret is out of the bag. But yeah, that's it. It's 401k. And I wanted to tell you, I became a certified financial planner. I was a State Farm agent. I was the first State Farm agent in Houston who became a certified financial planner and was able to charge money for financial advice, which is kind of an interesting factoid. But I was in Clear Lake. My office was in Clear Lake at El Camino Real and Pine Lock and El Camino. And it's a pretty affluent little zip code. I mean, there's a lot of nice real estate, a lot of people that you would expect would be wealthy. And I expected that they were doing pretty well. But what happened is, what I was surprised to learn is that a lot of folks who lived in that area they were still paycheck to paycheck in some ways. They weren't really saving a lot for retirement because the cost of, the house, the new car, all the stuff, kids going to college, they had all these other priorities, and retirement wasn't one of them. And what shocked me is how many people I talked to who were not taking advantage of this perfect investment. I was shocked. And that's why when I wrote my book, Make Your Money Count, I wrote a whole chapter about small steps with big payoffs. And one of the first things I put in that chapter, Small Steps, Big Payoffs, was the perfect investment. And it's a 401k, because it shocked me how many times I would meet someone and they would come to me for financial advice. And I always tried to give them the best next steps. So everybody's got a different situation, but when you spend a little time with a professional who knows what they're doing, it's not that difficult to figure out for you what's the best next step. So a lot of folks had the same 3 best next steps. And the first one was to take advantage of the perfect investment. And the second one was generally to set up a Roth IRA account. And that's still, to this day, the 2 top suggestions or recommendations or next steps for most people. So I want to give you an example of how the perfect investment works. We're going to use a number that's just a round number, and we're going to pretend that your dream job is working for, let's just say, Shell Oil. Does anybody have any idea, when it comes to any company, what is a really good number for the employer match? Because that's what makes the 401k the perfect investment. And that's what I want to explain to you in the perfect investment is, how does the match work? So 5%, 6%, 12%. Brent, do you know a company that pays 12%? Because I want to work there if they pay 12%. 5% is good, 4% is okay, 6% is better than 5%. So I think Shell, at some point, they had an 8% match, I think. So yeah, those are all reasonable numbers. The 12%, Brent, was kind of high. Yeah, Shell's doing really bad right now because the price of oil is bad, but that doesn't mean that they've changed their company match for employees. And it doesn't have anything to do with their stock price. It has to do with their compensation plan, really, for employees. So let's say that it's Shell. Let's say that your dream job is with Shell Oil, and it is a 6% match. Let's just pretend that. So you're making $100,000. You're working for Shell, and they're giving you a 6% match. My question now is, what do you have to do to get that 6%? And what is that 6%? So what is the 6%? And what do you have to do to get it? Those are the first 2 questions. So you have to contribute 6%. So Jaz, tell me, what does that mean, 6%? You have to contribute 6%. Yes, that's correct. But what does that mean? What contribution do you have to make? Contribution. Yep, you have to contribute 6% of your pay. Okay, so what's the number? Give them 6% of income. So what's the number? That's what I need you to tell me. It's an actual number in this case, because I already told you how much your income was. 6% of what is how much? That's what I want to know. Because what we have to figure out is, how much do you need to actually contribute on a paycheck per paycheck basis to get this 6% match? So yep, absolutely, $6,000. So $6,000 is 6% of $100,000. You make $100,000, you contribute $6,000. So if you're sitting there on day one, and and I know this is really a dream job, because if you're making $100,000, in your first job, that's pretty good. But it's pretending that this is correct. Day one, what do you have to do? When you sit down with HR, they're going to want to know, do you want to participate in the 401k match? And your answer is going to be, yes, I do. The next question they're going to ask is, how much? And now, again, assuming $100,000, 6% match, the perfect investment, I want everyone listening right now to be absolutely clear on what you have to do to take advantage of the perfect investment. And in this scenario, making $100,000, 6% is $6,000. So what do you have to say to HR when they ask you, how much do you want to contribute in your paycheck? Let's say you get paid every 2 weeks. What do you want them to deduct from your paycheck? The maximum, you could do the maximum. That's going to be more than 6%, which is great. If you can do that, do that. That's awesome. But in this moment, what I want to make certain of is that absolutely everybody knows the minimum you have to do to get the maximum return from the perfect investment. I would encourage you to do the maximum you can in your 401k, but that's not the question at this moment. So up until the end of employer match, but what is that? So yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out. But what I want to know, we said 6%, for those of you who are listening, 6% of 100 grand, which is what we're pretending you make. How much is that per month, per paycheck? You get paid twice a month. So how much is that coming out of your check every time you get paid? It's a dollar amount. Yeah, it's $250. So if you take $250, that's $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. Pretty simple, right? I mean, we use simple math in this exercise, but that's it. That's what I wanted you to understand. If you do that, you're going to be taking advantage of the perfect investment, and you're going to basically be putting away $6,000 a year by putting $500 a month into that account. Now, is that true what I just said? By doing that, $500 a month, you're going to be saving $6,000 a year. Is that true or is that not true? True or not true? Correct or incorrect? 250, not true. Tell me, Morgan, why is that not true? You're right, by the way, it's not true. Taxes. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's a really good point. Let me just mention that. It's not exactly the answer I'm looking for, but it is right. Because taxes. So, Morgan, I'm curious. Are you saying that taxes are going to make your contribution less or more? Are you going to be like not making as big of a contribution because of taxes? Is that what you're saying? Your savings are more because you're kind of getting more income with your contribution match. Well, that's partly true, Azan. Interest, that's not exactly it, David. Contribution match, Brent, you're on the right target, but tell me, so you're saying that I'm incorrect, that that's false, that that's not true. You put $500 a month in this 401k, and you're going to save $6,000 a year. That's $6,000 means 1% of your 100,000, and I said you're going to save $6,000 a year. True or not true? Most of you are saying, yeah, you're not true, and you're giving me a lot of reasons why. Interest, I would say return on your investment. It might be interest, but typically it could be like you invest in a stock and the stock goes up. That's not really interest, that's return on your investment, and that's true. Okay, Morgan, so that's great. You'll have $12,000 due to the match. Bingo, that was the answer that I was looking for. But Morgan, you brought up something that's really important, which is taxes. So one other benefit of this perfect investment is this. If I put $6,000 out of my $100,000 into my 401k, yeah, I'm going to get a match. So now I have $12,000 in my account, which is awesome. That's 100% return. That's why it's the perfect investment. But the other benefit is because I contributed to my 401k, I got a tax deduction, which means that I actually made $6,000 less. According to the IRS, I made $6,000 less than I would have made if I did not contribute to my 401k. 401k contributions are tax deductible. So that means if you're in a 25% tax bracket, that means you get to keep 25% of $6,000, which would be $750 in your pocket extra. So love deductions. Me too. I don't know if you guys know this, but my birthday is April 15th. Yeah, I know I told this story once or twice already, but I was born on April 15th. My first child, JR, born December 31st. He was actually born like midnight on December 31st, 12:05 a.m. So in the morning of 12, so basically barely born in the last day of the year. You know what that means? At that time, it was a $1,250 deduction for a child. Not a deduction, a credit. So I basically got a $1,250 gift from the IRS, and I never even changed his diaper. So tax deductions are huge. 1231, how about that? We have something in common. So you were a tax deduction, Jazz. Cool. Yep. So that's the perfect investment. And I try to unpack this multiple times throughout the semester. This is the first time I've told you about the perfect investment, but I will remind you how this works a couple more times throughout this course because, again, one of my goals is that every student who comes through this course understands the perfect investment and doesn't miss the opportunity to take advantage of the perfect investment. And I just had to look to make sure we were recording because I got a panic attack there for a second because I was hoping to share this with the students who are not here. In fact, there's a couple waiting. So that was the perfect investment. If you're just joining us, you missed it. And you'll have to watch the recording to understand this key concept, the perfect investment. It will set the table for everything you're going to learn when we get into investing and I start to teach you the 4 investment strategies that are designed specifically to help you maximize return and minimize risk. So you don't want to miss that lesson, and you don't want to miss the perfect investment. So we'll cover that a couple more times throughout the semester, but I hope right now that most of you, the ones at least who are not on Facebook or watching Netflix, who are actually here, hopefully you get it and you understand how cool it is and how important it is. The perfect investment. Okay. All right. Now we're going to talk about bargaining and negotiating. So what I want you to do is I want you to think with me and just imagine. I know, because I've been teaching this for a while, and I've been asking people along the way. I know that about half of you watching this right now are on one side and the other half is on the other side of this whole idea of bargaining and negotiating. What I mean by that one side and the other side is half of us really we like bargaining and negotiating. We think it's kind of fun. It's a challenge. It's like a sport. And we can't imagine not engaging in the tools of the bargain, the negotiating. And so that's half of us. Maybe not half, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I don't really know. But the other half, like my wife, Connie, they see, I'll say we, just to kind of try to relate to this side. And what I want you to do is I want you to think, which side are you on? Are you on this side? What we do in class is, sorry, my phone is ringing. Oh, I get this call every day. It's potential spam. Sorry about that. My computer just went haywire. I think Siri decided to turn on everything. Can you still hear me? Am I still there? Yeah, okay. So back to the 2 different groups. My wife, Connie, is definitely on the side of the fence of folks who think it feels awkward, it's not fun, it's a chore. She does not like to bargain and negotiate. She's happy that I do that, so she doesn't have to. And so if we were actually in class, I would ask you to raise your hand and tell me which side are you on, because that's how we start this lesson, is we identify which side are you on. Are you on the side that says, I love to bargain and negotiate? Or are you on the side that says, yeah, it's kind of awkward. I don't like it. It's not fun. Because that's where we have to start today's lesson. So yeah, I'm reading your comments, and man, so I don't see anyone who, okay, finally I see one who loves it, love deductions. Monica loves deductions after that. So there's no one who, you like it, took the class of Chris Voss in master class, cool. So Yolani, I'm hoping you will share some of what you learned in your assignment. You're going to get to do an assignment to tell me how you negotiate and what are your top 7. I'm going to share my top 7 with you today. But I'm just curious. This week's assignment is very simple. I just want you to tell me, which side are you on and why? And who do you know? Think of this. Who do you know who's a really good negotiator, really good bargainer? Just tell me who that is, not right now, but I'm going to ask you to do that in your assignment this week because it's part of the fun. So I'm going to ask you to tell me what are you, where do you sit? And then I'm going to ask you to tell me in the assignment, I'm going to ask you to tell me who do you know who's a great negotiator, bargainer, and why? What do they do? How do they do it? And then I'm going to ask you to tell me, like, from what you learned this week and the research that you're going to do and the videos you're going to watch, I'm going to ask you to tell me, what do you think? What do you think are the top maybe 7 things that you should learn to become better at negotiating? So that's what your assignment's going to be. But let's move on with the lesson. So we have more than half, it looks like, who don't really like to bargain and negotiate. It's awkward. It's not comfortable. It's not fun. And the other half, maybe not quite half, but the rest of us, we think we love it. It's fun. It's not awkward. It's a way of life. And that's how I feel about it. And when you get into Dave Ramsey, I've taught this class for almost 10 years, and we almost always use Dave Ramsey as our instructional assistant. And when you watch Dave Ramsey talk about bargaining and negotiating, I think he gets more excited about that than anything else. He really likes that. So you'll get to see some of Dave this week in your videos as well. But so we've got this distinction, 2 groups. Now here's the question. Here's what I want you to think about. Here's what I want you to really wrap your mind around for just a minute or 2 or 3. The question is, what is the lifetime value of bargaining and negotiating? So in other words, again, let's just pretend that everyone who's listening right now makes the same amount of money. We all make $100,000 a year. Half of us are super excited about bargaining and negotiating everything. The other half is awkward, not really interested in bargaining and negotiating, don't really want to do it, really have no intention of doing it. And so we have those 2 extremes. And I know none of us are completely 100% either, but just pretend for a minute with me that there's a number out there that says if you make $100,000 a year and one group bargains and negotiates everything, and the other group never bargains and never negotiates, what number would you say sets them apart? Like those of us who bargain and negotiate with $100,000 of income a year and all the things we spend, let's pretend we all buy the same things. For the most part, we may have different toys, but we all have rent, or we're buying a house, or we're getting insurance. We have a cell phone, we have internet, we buy our computers, we buy clothes, we buy food at the grocery store. The list goes on. And some of us think we can negotiate pretty much anything, and we will. And the other, not so much. So give me a number. It could be a percentage. How much more am I going to save out of $100,000 than the group that doesn't negotiate, doesn't bargain, just pays whatever the price that's listed is? 10%. That's a good 20%, 25%, 20%. Those are the kind of numbers that we generally get. 15%. And obviously, I have no idea. This is kind of just to get you stimulated and thinking about what does it really mean to you to say, okay, there's something here when it comes to personal finance, when it comes to my financial future. There are some skills that maybe I should focus on and learn and practice. Because if it's true, if it's 15%, would it be worth it to you? If you're in that camp that says, it's awkward, I don't like it. If you were able to move the needle 15% every year, would you think maybe there's some things you should negotiate? What if it's 20%? What if it's 25%? Would you then think it's worth it to jump into the bargaining and negotiating master class and learn how to do it? So that's what I want you to think about just for a minute. We don't really know what that number is. Another question I want to ask is, so if you made a list, if I'm saving 25% every year out of a total of 100 grand per year, yeah, of course. Yeah, I think that would be, yeah. And I'm not sure that you can save 25 grand every year, but I'm sure, well, I'll tell you a story. Before I tell you a story, I want you to think about this, plant this seed, because I'm going to come back to it. If you made a list of three things that you cannot negotiate, there's no way, they're just not negotiable, what would you say they are? Go ahead and think about that for a second, and then just type those, the first three things that come to your mind. Three things that you cannot negotiate. Three things that are not negotiable. Can't negotiate, can't bargain these. Nope. Make your list. So three things, just boom, boom, boom. And it's not a question. It's like, okay, just three things that you think cannot be negotiated, and do them all at one time so that, instead of just saying gas or groceries, say gas, groceries, and what's the third? Three things. You got to come up with three things. Go ahead and do that, and I'm going to wait because this is, by the way, if you're here, this is class participation. Three things you can't negotiate. Got to be three things. I am thinking, you know what? I try to buy Apple computers on sale all the time, and it's kind of tough. Although I did get this one from Costco. So one of the things students tell me all the time is you can't negotiate on Apple stuff. And that's kind of true, but this was on sale for 5 days at Costco. And it had pretty much everything I needed, and I was able to save some money. It was actually cheaper than if I bought it with the educational discount through Apple. That machine wasn't available as a refurbished, so that was always my response when students said, you can't negotiate Apple products. I'm like, well, you can get a refurbished, which is what I've always done. So that was my response. I don't know if it's right. So let's see. Tuition, gas, food places, Wi-Fi, electricity, groceries, taxes, groceries, gas, rent, HEB, big retailers, taxes, tuition for sure. So I see a lot of you are putting one thing, two things, and some of you are still asking questions as if I have the answer. Okay, so here we go. That's good. I think your time is up. Now the next question is, for those of you who are like me, who are like, wait a minute, hold the phone. I definitely saw some things on that list that folks said were not negotiable, couldn't be bargained, and I have stories where I actually did that. That's what I want you to think of now, because some of you are looking at that list just like I am, going, okay, I can tell you lots of ways to negotiate at HEB. I mean, I was in HEB the other day, and they had spinach, a big box or plastic thing of spinach, and it was like, it was right on the verge of being outdated. And I asked the manager if I could get it for $1, and he said, sure. And I got like a $6 thing of spinach, which we needed that night for the meal. So it's not like it was going to sit around in the refrigerator. That was HEB. And Walmart does all kinds of stuff with groceries. So surprisingly, Camille says tuition can be negotiated too. I don't know about you, but I certainly have negotiated tuition in a lot of places with a lot of institutions in my lifetime because I didn't have the money to pay at the time. So maybe things have changed, but I can't imagine that they've changed that much. Yeah, you can buy a more fuel efficient car. So you're starting to think about things that you might have otherwise thought were not even bargained or negotiated. And maybe, in fact, you can. And so here's the point. Here's the point I've tried to make in this lesson every single time I've taught it. And there's all kinds of ways we could talk about different approaches, different techniques, different principles of negotiating and bargaining. But here's the one that I think is the most important one. And I'm going to give you 7 of them, and I'm going to put them in order that I think make the most sense. And number 1 is this. If you think everything's negotiable, you're going to be a lot better at bargaining and negotiating than someone who thinks nothing is negotiable. I'm not going to bargain or negotiate anything. Think about that. It's a self-evident truth, but it's my number 1 pick is everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable, whether it's rent or groceries or Apple computers or taxes. I promise you taxes are negotiable. If you don't, I'm not going to get into how that works, but if you know a good CPA, if you know how to do your taxes, if you know, well, taxes are negotiable. Trust me, rich people know it. They practice a lot of ways of tax strategies because that's part of tax negotiation. But so many ways to negotiate so many things. So now I'm going to tell you a story. That was my number 1. Number 1, everything is negotiable. So I've been teaching this for almost a decade. And I remember, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd semester that I was teaching this course, and we needed furniture. We wanted furniture. We actually had furniture that we hated. It was on sale, and we bought it. It was an estate sale, and it was the worst furniture we ever owned. And I couldn't wait to get rid of it, and I wanted leather furniture. So my sister-in-law called and said they just bought new furniture at Ashley's Furniture. I don't know if you know Ashley's Furniture, but they have one right down the street from where we live. We live in Friendswood. It's on the highway at 45. So I looked online, and yeah, they were having a sale. And they had the living room furniture that I had dreamed of. It was all leather. We wanted 2 full couches. We wanted a love seat. We wanted them all to match. We wanted an ottoman. And I wanted the electric recliner on the couches and the love seat. And I wanted it to be brown, rich leather. And they had it. And so I'm like, and it was on sale. And so I'm like, if my sister-in-law can get new furniture, it's time. We need new furniture. So my wife agreed. She got on my Goldwing motorcycle with me. It was Sunday night. We drove to Ashley's. And again, I was going to teach this class on Tuesday about negotiating. I mean, it was that week in the semester. So we get to Ashley's, and sure enough, they got this furniture that I fell in love with when I first saw it. It was perfect for us. And we ended up buying it, but here's the story. So I'm in the store at Ashley's, and the salesman puts together the order because I'm like, I'll take it, and so the guy brings me, the salesman, nice guy, he brings me the order, and I'm, we're signing, and I'm paying cash. He's telling me about how I can get it on credit and this and that. I'm like, dude, I'm paying cash. So, but I'm buying it, and I'm thinking, I didn't even try to negotiate this. I didn't even really try. And remember, number 1 for me is everything's negotiable. So I'm thinking I need to have integrity because I'm going to teach this class on Tuesday. And that's what I was thinking is I should I should, even though I could afford to buy it, it wasn't really an issue, but I thought I need to just do my due diligence, do a little research. So I asked the guy, I said, hey man, if I shop around for this, am I going to find a better deal somewhere else? And he's like, well, he didn't answer the question. Here's what he told me. He started telling me about how awesome the service department was at Ashley's. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, seriously, if I shop around, am I going to find a better deal somewhere else? Because it was like almost $6,000 for this furniture. And so he never really answered my question. So he went to finish the paperwork, and I had this iPhone right here. It's an iPhone 7. I think I'd just gotten this iPhone. And I got on my iPhone, and I started to do a search in Mr. Internet. I think I used Google. And lo and behold, I took a picture of the label, and it had the name of the furniture. So the furniture that I bought had a name. I think it was the Monarch Assembly or something like that. But anyway, I Googled it, and guess what I found? I found that exact same set of furniture was sold at two different places. One was Ashley's, and one was Coleman's. Turns out they both come from the same place. Exactly the same place, but Ashley's is a retail outlet, which means you go to the store, you get to see the furniture, you talk to a salesperson, you pay them, they get a commission, and they deliver it to your house. And if you ever have a problem, you call Ashley's and they fix it, and that's all good. But Coleman, I started looking, and Coleman offered this. Back then, at that time, this is what Coleman offered. So Ashley's wanted $250 to deliver the furniture. Coleman's, no delivery fee. Okay, cool, $250. Ashley's was going to charge tax. Coleman was online. They didn't charge tax. No tax. Ashley's wanted $250 for each piece of furniture for that insurance, where if you poke it, scratch it, tear it, whatever, they fix it for you or replace it for you. They wanted $250 per piece. Coleman's for $250 for the whole order. So if you bought 10 pieces, you get it on every piece. Free delivery. And by the way, the delivery was called white glove delivery. It was like they clean it up, they put it together, they take the old stuff and throw it away. I mean, it was great. And so no tax, free delivery, a lot lower cost on the, the warranty. I'm going, wow. But here was the real kicker. The real kicker was, instead of paying, $5,000 was the ticket price before taxes and drive out and all that, it was $2,500. It was half of the $5,000 retail before they added all the other stuff. And then you didn't have to pay the other stuff for the most part. It's like we went from $6,000 to right around $2,800 for exactly the same thing. And the only reason, honestly, I even picked up my iPhone to check and do some research is because I knew that Tuesday I was going to come and teach this course about bargaining and negotiating, and I was going to tell you that the key number one thing you can do is just have the mindset that everything is negotiable. So that's my favorite story about bargaining and negotiating, because to me, it's a discipline. It's like saving. It's like everything else in this course. It's super simple. It's not rocket science. It's a matter of, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? When it comes to bargaining and negotiating, I want you to make your list. I'll do my list and I'll share it with you when I post this video. I'll post it and you can see mine. But number one on my list is everything's negotiable. The question is, are you even going to try? And the fact that it's awkward or it feels awkward, I get that. But if you learn a few basic things, whether you're talking about buying a car, we could do a whole week of how to buy a car. I'm I'm a ex-master mechanic, and I promise you, you can get so much better deal if you just know a few basic things. So maybe that's your basic thing. When you do your assignment this week, tell me, how would you negotiate the purchase of a used car or even a new car? Maybe it's a house. I posted a video in our playlist this week about buying a house. But here's a big one. This one probably takes the cake for everything you could possibly negotiate. My friend Ramit Sethi, he wrote a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And I got to hear him speak at a conference years ago before I ever started teaching this course. But he inspired my website back then, which was imakeyourmoneycount.com. I wrote the book, Make Your Money Count. The domain, makeyourmoneycount.com, was already taken, so I just added an I to it, and I did a blog, and I used that in this course for many years. But Ramit Sethi is the guy who inspired me to do that, and I posted a video that he did about negotiating your salary. So if there's one thing I want you to commit to developing negotiation skills around, it is selling yourself, negotiating you. Because when it comes to your job, you're going to change jobs. 5.2 is the statistic. 5.2 times you're going to change jobs, change companies, not jobs, but companies in your career. So in each of those companies, you could have several opportunities to interview, get promoted, negotiate your salary. And so if everything's negotiable, I promise you, you are negotiable. Your job, your salary, your next promotion. And so posted this video. It's kind of 30 minutes or so, but I think he goes over like 40 tips for negotiating your salary. And you can find resources all over the place. You don't need me to tell you how to do it. But what I believe I'm here to do is to encourage you that when you do it, when you bargain and negotiate, when you commit to do that and to practice it as a discipline, it will make a huge difference in your financial life. And that's why bargaining and negotiating is part of this course. It's why we spend one whole lesson talking about bargaining and negotiating. It's why we have an assignment coming up for you to do, to tell me how you feel about it, who in your life is good at it, and some things that you think are important in terms of skills and principles that relate to bargaining and negotiating. So that'll be your assignment. And our time is up, and I went over 2 minutes, and I'm sorry. This is recorded. It will be posted, and I hope you guys have a great week. I'll hang around. I'm going to turn off the recording. I'll hang around. If you got any questions, I will be happy to answer them, but I'm going to turn off the recording now.